Hello, my name is Árni Þorsteinsson and I'm going to give a presentation of the 16th Street Baptist Church, Birmingham, Alabama bombing for my English class. I have gathered some information and I've been reading up on the incident and this is my take on it and my presentation to you. What happened? The 16th Street Baptist Church bombing happened on Sunday of 15th of September 1963. The bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama was one of the deadliest acts of violence to take place during the Civil Rights Movement and evoked criticism around the world and outrage. It was an act of white supremacist terrorist group aimed at African Americans and their civil rights. 15 sticks of dynamite were planted under the church. 4 young girls died that day and 22 were injured, some heavily. The 4 girls who died, their names were Addie Mae Collins, who was 14-year-old, Cynthia Weasley, who was 14-year-old, Carl Robertson, who was 14-year-old, and Carol Denise McNair, who was 11-year-old. The reasons of the attack were racial segregation, and was one of the reasons. It was a huge political issue in Birmingham, Alabama at the time, and also the civil rights movement for blacks, where African Americans were fighting for racial segregation. But racial segregation is a systematic separation of people into racial or other ethnic groups in daily life. It may apply to activities such as eating in a restaurant, drinking from a water fountain, using a public toilet, attending school, going to the movies, riding on a bus, or in the rental or purpose of a home or of hotel rooms. One of the reasons for the attack was also trying to cripple the civil rights movement, but the civil rights movement had quite good following in the Baptist church. But who did it? It was the Cahaba Boys. The Cahaba Boys had formed earlier in 1963 due to mutual feeling of the Ku Klux Klan was becoming restrained and impotent in response to concession granted to black people aimed at ending racial segregation, and had previously been linked to several bomb attacks at black-owned businesses and the homes of black community leaders throughout the spring and summer of 1963. The members of the group were less than 30, but they were well organized and they were very mean and they were quite radical. The Cahaba Boys included members such as Thomas Blanton Jr., Herman Cass, Robert Cablish, and Bobby Cherry, but all of them were suspect for this hate crime and 3 of them were convicted. The aftermath. The bombing of 16th Street Baptist Church, which previously served as a central meeting place and staging ground for civil rights activities, was intended to stall the progression of the civil rights movement. However, the tragedy had the opposite effect, galvanizing the support and propel for the movement forward. Closure. Robert Edward Cablish, aka Dynamite Bob, was convicted for the bombings in 1977. He was believed to have provided the dynamite and knew how to make the bomb. Bobby Frank Cherry was convicted much later, but it was in 2002, and Thomas Edwin Blanton Jr. was also convicted in 2002. Herman Frank Cass was a suspect the whole time, but the evidence against him were not good enough, and many believe he could not have done this, for he was a very nervous, shy person. Thank you for listening to my lecture on the bombings on Birmingham, Alabama Baptist Church. It was a pleasure for me. Hope it was a pleasure for you. Thank you. Bye.